Hi, Sparkles. Welcome back. This is episode 191 of the Intuitive Wisdom Podcast. This week, I'm joined by the insightful Shea Ki, coach for soul-led women and host of the Career and Life Momentum Chats. Together, we dive into the art of communicating your value, aligning your energy in the workplace, and building a career that actually fuels you. Shea shares real practical tools to help you stop defaulting to people-pleasing, explore your strengths, and create momentum with intention. We even talk about LinkedIn and how it can be a magnet for opportunity when used with intention. Welcome to Intuitive Wisdom, a space for grounded energy, soulful insight, and conscious living. I'm K. Margaret Solorio, author, angel Reiki master, biotech graduate, and guide for those seeking alignment in their home and life. Each week, we explore the unseen layers of energy, intuition, and transformation, because when you tune in, everything begins to shift. So take a breath, and let's begin. Quick announcements before we get to the insightful interview. Have you taken the free quiz yet? I've created something called Is Your Home Supporting Your Expansion? It only takes a few minutes and offers deep insight into how your environment may be affecting your energy. You can find it at my website at deliciousease.com/quiz. And if you're ready for a change, I offer a service called the Home Frequency Reset, including remote sessions. So it can be anywhere in the world. It's a powerful, energetic refresh for your space, and it's perfect if your home feels stuck, heavy, or out of sync, or you've just gone through a big life transition. That's a great time to do an energy reset for your home or your workspace, or if you work at home, then double good. I also have my book available. My book, Make Ease Your Vibe, is available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. It's packed with mindset, energy, and time strategies to transform your daily vibe. And I've created special bonuses for each chapter, including a chapter outline that you can access once you purchase your copy by going to deliciousease.com, enter your information, and you get all the extra content. All right, let's get to the episode. Shea Ki is a coach for soul-led women and the host of the Career and Life Momentum Chats show. Shea loves helping with well-being at work and home, preparing to share your value in high-stakes moments, and tapping into your intuition to build better relationships and attract opportunities. She also admits to being addicted to General Hospital for over 30 years, is a mother of 2 teenagers, and will never say no to chips and salsa. Without further ado, here is my conversation with Shea. All right. Hello, Shea. Again, thank you so much for making time to join me. How are you today?
How can I not get into the vibration of delicious ease when I get to talk to K. Margaret?
Yay. Well, this is going to be good. As you may know, on this podcast, I like to explore the magic that happens when you learn to hear and trust your intuitive wisdom. So I was curious for you, what's one of the greatest insights you've received from your intuitive wisdom and acted on?
Such a powerful question. And I love that it's just not like, hey, how you doing? You just go right at it. I think for me, what comes up when I hear intuitive wisdom, because I think it's still a dance where some days I'm really connected and other days I need reminders. I actually have a conch shell behind me as a reminder from an experience that happened when I felt I was really listening to that connection. And it was recently, we were on a vacation day at a beach, and my daughter and I go out there looking for seashells every day, trying to find something beautiful to bring back. And we found beautiful shells, but they were usually a little broken. So we kept some of those and did some crafts, but we kind of let go of the idea of finding like the one. And we were about to go, and I just was like, hey, let's go walk on the beach one more time. Just got this little nudge. And this time my whole family could go. So I have my son, my husband, my daughter, and we're just enjoying walking along the ocean. It was one of those times where everything was quiet in my mind, except that really calm beautiful voice that gets so buried in my day to day sometimes. And it just was like, hey, look over here. And I looked in the ocean and I get giddy, like goosebumps still thinking about it. Because in the ocean, up and down with the waves, this beautiful conch shell was about 10 feet away from me. And
Wow.
I was like, yeah, wow. I think I might have said some expletives, but I was like, there it is. And without telling my family like why I like jumped into the ocean, it wasn't super deep, but I just like rushed in, grabbed it, brought it over. It was empty, it was whole. It's gorgeous. I know you don't do video, but if you could see it,
It is.
it's just a very gorgeous conch shell, and we barely had to clean it. You know, we took it away in the car, and it was just this beautiful moment where, with a question like that, I can't help but think about, wow, look what happens when I really listen.
Yes. And you ask and you allow yourself to receive.
Yeah.
Like that's a possibility. It's a beautiful story. Well, I'm excited to share more about what you do as well. And I know you help all of us learn to promote and communicate our value. And that's something that I find difficult. I'm still learning. So I was curious
It's an
in
art
you.
form. We're all still
It's
learning.
an art form. It is, but it's so important, and it has such a mindset shift to find the confidence in that, I feel like. So I was curious what you see as one of the main things to learn to help with that communication, to be clear in your value and your skills and your services, what you have to offer.
Well, I was doing it wrong, to be honest, for maybe many years. I was actually doing a quote unquote good job, successful job, kept getting promoted type of situation, managing employment centers or career centers in my local area around Washington, D.C. And as I kept moving up the ladder and we kept getting jobs for people, we'd start to see people coming back. And it was often because, yeah, we did all the right things to help connect them to something that would help pay their bills, but they took into that experience all the baggage that maybe they had from a previous work experience. They didn't take into that experience a lot of the strengths, values, things to really know unshakably about themselves so it could be a successful experience and have good boundaries. So, although it looked like we were doing our job, and we were for that particular type of project and that particular type of situation, it just started feeling toxic to me because I wanted to spend more time doing the inside job that I think is so important before someone is going to figure out what the best fit is for them in the workforce. So, yeah, I had to really relearn that question that you asked myself so that I also, too, could find more workspaces that I could feel fully myself in and still have time for my family afterwards in and not feel so chaotic and that I was just kind of paddling above water every day. So it's been a really long process, and I've fortunately been able to kind of translate that process into how I coach others how to go about it. But it's not overnight. It's a long process. And it does take a lot of inner work to get that outer upgrade of being in a type of work that refuels you and doesn't drain you every day.
Yeah. And I also love how you just explained that the skill set to get to the next level, so to speak, or to get that next job is not the same skill set to keep it or maintain it.
And
That,
we want to go. Like usually when people promise myself, since I am getting ready for a beach vacation, to hydrate well today. So take my pauses with some water with you. They're usually at like a reckoning point where something has happened. Maybe they did lose their job, or especially in this time right now, being laid off sometimes happens. But a lot of times, too, there was kind of that, like you said, that inner whisper that was saying maybe this wasn't the right fit anyway. And then it just kind of got taken out of their control, or maybe they're just trying to get ahead of it. So there's just like that reckoning point. And so for me, once they have that realization, I like to spend a lot of time, and again, while still paying attention to their needs and making sure we don't spend too much time in that realization and really in that recovery zone so that they don't land in another situation where they're just getting by with their energy, or they're just getting by with trying to have a work life situation that feels really good to them. So it's like you said, it's really going in and exploring some of those things that we're not taught in school. Like, what are our real
Mhm.
values? Not what is conditioned in us, but what do we really think is a priority for us? What are our strengths that have probably been there from a very long time, but have gotten kind of put to the side, so that we could kind of what I did for a long time: battle and achieve, battle and achieve, battle and achieve. And so you just kind of learn how to morph into what everybody else needs instead of being able to really use the parts of ourselves that are really kind of yearning to share their gift.
Yeah, I agree. I once had a boss a long time ago who told me, be careful what you get good at. And it took me a while to understand that. But I think that also speaks to that difference of there's so much emphasis placed on skills and what you can do, but actually your value and your uniqueness is in how you do it, how you approach it, how you explain it, how you teach it, how you, whatever that thing is. Because so many of us could do similar things, but nobody is like you. So nobody can do it the way you do it. So I like that, noticing the strengths of the superpowers you've had for a long time. And then that's what you bring to all the doing.
Right. And who taught us that when we were, I mean, maybe we got lucky. Some of us did.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't.
But to it feels so awkward sometimes when we're sitting in the hot seat talking about ourselves, because there is that missing inner connection that really can help fortify what we're trying to communicate so that the value isn't just heard, but it's demonstrated while we're speaking. And it's really practicing those stories that probably aren't the ones. That's what I discover with a lot of people. They're like, wait, I could talk about that in an interview? Or wait, I thought I just had to keep it all work stories. Or wait, I thought I just had to, do this or that. They've been kind of trained somehow, or I just think there's a lot of diluted information out there that makes us think we have to say the exact right thing. We have
Right.
to say a script. We have to, I'm all for templates and communicating our professional value and our personal worth easier, but it can really box us in and make us more nervous, actually, if we're
Yeah, it's
not
not a test,
doing
it's a
it.
collaboration.
Yeah,
It's,
mindfully. Yeah. And
yeah,
yes, collaboration. I mean, as you told you before, I work in a fun room. I'm all about play. I don't work in an office anymore. So for me, like, I think that's something that when people are talking about what they offer and how they can bring their most incredible gifts to the table, it gets so stale and boring. Like, even on LinkedIn, if you're not careful, like, it becomes very kind of boxed in and checklist oriented rather than giving ourselves more freedom, I think, to put more of ourselves out there. I'm not saying it all has to be out there. People do not need to know everything about me either. But
right.
being able to put more of our personality out there, I think we almost have to retrain ourselves to feel safe and being able
Mhm.
to do that. So that's a big part that I think my work has really led me to, is especially helping women feel it's not just comfortable, but actually having their nervous system feel more attuned and regulated in the moment so that they actually feel safe sharing what they're about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense and has so much value. I was a scientist in college, and then most of the jobs I've had are very male dominated environments. There weren't very many females. And I didn't realize until I now have a day job where it's mostly females. It's like flipped environment. And it took me quite a while to come down from that, because you're right. You don't even realize your defenses are up. Like, you're watching what you're saying, you're watching how you look, you watch how you walk, you watch like, you're constantly kind of in this defense mode. And then when you don't have to do that, it's a completely different experience to feel safe enough to be.
I appreciate you sharing that because I also didn't realize how much I was people pleasing, how much I was playing small, how much I was really letting perfectionism and fear drive my own career and life momentum bus, so to speak, for many years, even though, on the weekends, maybe I go hang out with monks at a temple or at a monastery and learn about mindfulness and meditation. Or I had a beautiful experience where my aunt-in-law is from Vietnam, taught me Reiki, and very, very crisis point in my life. And so I had these tools in the background, but even with them, I was still defaulting to everyone else's temperature in the room and trying to make sure that I was fixing, helping, giving, just all the things, and wondered, I like what I do. Why am I so drained at the end of the day? I mean, just the boundary setting that I spent a lot of time with clients on, because I had to learn it fiercely and steadily and still work on it, is astronomical. It is a lot to learn about what that really means and what that really feels like when those are in place well.
Yeah. You talked about really stepping back and kind of seeing what your values are and bringing that up in addition to learning better how you are and how to communicate who you are. And I was curious if you could tell us more about your CALM program, Career and Life Momentum, because I think I really appreciate the perspective of building momentum and not just looking for the next job, like making it something that works for you. And I was curious in this transition if in learning more that you have value to give, you have this energy to serve, if that also leads some of your clients to think about starting their own businesses.
It's a fantastic just vision you have for people going through things with me. I love that. And I think for me, like, I know like momentum can be a triggering word for some people too, because again, I think there's a lot of emphasis on be productive, do more, hustle culture. For me, I put momentum into the title of those types of sessions. One, because I'm really have an Abraham Hicks vibe about me. So I very much pull in a lot of activities around universal laws to help people really see how it works for themselves, to see if that's something they want to kind of play with more, as they're building their LinkedIn profile, or maybe as they're getting ready for interviews. So again, it's just building on that more open energy, that more allowing energy, rather than what I saw in employment centers for years, which was chase, force, make it fit, gotta get this now. And things would pop and things would happen, but it often, again, resulted more in situations where people might be getting a paycheck, but they weren't feeling fulfilled. So for me, that's again just where I start with someone in a program like that, is to kind of go back to that wider view, as you were saying, and check in on some of those foundational areas around their values, around their strengths, around what actually is an energy gain not an energy drain, because we can be really good at a lot of skills. We are trained well, many of us, especially when we quote unquote are high achieving, which is another triggering word. But it doesn't mean that those skills necessarily are the ones that are giving us fuel for the day. And we need to have some of those natural strengths and skills in our workday at least some of the time. And so that's kind of what we explore. And it's funny because a lot of times people will come in and they think they might need to change jobs, or they really need to start their own business, or, and they're in that again, that kind of realization after the reckoning moment. And as we spend time in that recovery piece, before we get to the rebuild, before we get to my favorite, which is the revelry, where we celebrate something with their outcomes that they wanted, before we get to those stages, just looking again deeper within, literally during coaching sessions, people oftentimes don't have their own time during the day to sit still and do some of those inner work activities. So giving them that time instead of talk, but giving them that time to do the journal prompting, or to do some self-Reiki, which I know you value as well, or to do some tapping that's customized around their own blocks that they feel might be getting in the way. So it kind of, again, there's this great graphic out there I saw recently where you have someone that's like kind of going in circles and feels like they're making progress, or you have someone that's kind of going slowly but surely upwards and making that progress. So I like to try and make sure we're measuring things and looking at results. So we have more of that upward spiral that's really getting that momentum going. But sometimes something new is unveiled. And maybe it's not the new business that they want to do. It is the situation they want to keep with what they're doing right now, but they want to put in more of those boundaries now that they know their values better. Mm-hmm. They want to request and practice new conversations about how do I get to do more of these skills, and ask my manager or, some of the senior executives at work, how can we make some more of these other things that I actually like to do at work happen? Because I have all this other stuff that might not be as refueling for me. So how do you have those more difficult conversations? I think is another piece that plays into that, because often I see they come in thinking, oh, I want this, but then with the inner work, the outer upgrade that they want to go for becomes a totally different thing. So I hope that answered that.
Wow, it does. It gives you a lot to think about too, or gives me a lot to think about, which I appreciate.
It's very customized.
Yeah, but there are a lot of tools, and there's still a lot of, it's just such a refreshing, different approach. I mean, you can even feel the energy when you speak, that it feels good. Like, oh, that makes so much sense. But that was never how job seeking was presented to me, or I approached it, because I didn't even think about my value in the transaction, that there are values.
We almost disappear.
There's value on both sides.
And then we go look for ourselves in the job ads. Where am I? Which one speaks to me? Hello. And wonder why we don't see it. It's, or we, apply for or don't apply for a lot of things that we really could, because we're not seeing ourselves in those more advanced, sometimes, opportunities that we've held back from. So it's just, I think through my sessions and in between the sessions, it's one reason I love the name of your podcast, with intuitive wisdom. Like, I can't operate without that anymore. If I get a message, or I sense that I can kind of build a customized EFT or tapping session for someone, or I get like this kind of always starts in the heart tingle that like, hey, maybe this client, this would work really well for them. So I don't ever think I'm doing the work either by myself. Like, I really think it's a co-creative, I love that word you said earlier, collaborative process with more of a divine energy that's bigger than me, that's helping this person find their golden nuggets and all the treasure that the workforce, but sometimes some of them don't want to go back into the workforce, or they have this other amazing job called mothering that also can be a whole lot to unravel if we haven't been taught to take care of ourselves first. So either way, like it's a journey for me each time someone new comes in too, because the stories are always different.
Yeah, you seem very lit up and excited. That's neat to see. I was curious, you mentioned LinkedIn a couple of times. If you had any practical tips for all of us as we absorb all this
Um,
information and think about how we're presenting ourselves to the world and one of the platforms we use
what do you
is
think
like,
of LinkedIn?
oh, I'm still trying to figure it out. It seems to be one of the most connective. LinkedIn sends me regular emails like, oh, you may want to connect with this person. And then I look them up and I'm like, they could be a good podcast guest. And I email them and they're like, oh, yeah, that would be great. So it good prompts. I haven't gotten a lot of like feedback in terms of services. It seems to help with the podcast. But I don't know. I'm still learning and exploring, and I don't know if that's part of how you present. Like I was told to do a business page and a personal page, but the personal page seems to be way more of a thing than the business page. So
Yeah,
I can't.
separating out the noise from like what you want to actually do on any platform is again
Haven't
another
figured
art
it
form.
out. Yes.
Like what? And I love that you're so transparent about your feelings with that platform because I think it is very common for people to see it in that frame of I'm not sure. And I have no affiliation with it. No, LinkedIn does not pay me to say anything, but I have found since playing on it the past few years, that it is like most places in that it's going to be what you make it. And so it's about, again, maybe first exploring what it is you want to gain from it, ideally, and also knowing what the messaging is that you feel comfortable and maybe just on the growth edge, like a little uncomfortable putting out there. Because I find more and more when it isn't so cookie cutter, when it is sharing a little bit more of the personality, of the passion, of the why behind why someone's doing something, their story, engagement's better, real conversations are better. And fortunately, the platform is improving in that it's becoming much more video based now, too. There's a lot of people don't know, but at the bottom, when you go in the app, there's now like video. Then you can just start scrolling it like you would some of the other platforms. You can add, they'll show you what videos are trending, and you can add your own thoughts to that. So it's also, I think, trying to get with the times. So it's more fun than it used to be. But I hear you on that. It doesn't always give you what you think you're going in there for.
Yeah, but it does feel cleaner, like less noise. And
And there's
it
a lot more
does
holistic practitioners getting on board there too.
a lot
I
more holistic.
definitely, yeah, it's one
Yeah.
question a lot of people ask me is who should I follow? Who should I? And I'll send people like, hey, I find this person and this person, this person. But don't just follow when we're there. I really try and tell people like try and get engaged, try and see if you can add some value in some conversations. The algorithm's different on that platform. I recently had incredible guest Mildred on my show that will come out in a few months. And if you think I get passionate about things, this woman is one of the top voices of on LinkedIn because she definitely can help someone reframe how they think about that platform and get it to give them more results. So there's people on there too that I think are trying to not do in the creepy make six figures in 6 nights kind of way.
Yeah, I
But
would.
hey, know yourself first, know what you want first, try these things next.
Right. And I think I appreciate LinkedIn in that aspect because it feels a little more transparent. Like everyone's like, here, I'm here to present my value or to collaborate or to, like, I'm here to do things. Whereas like Instagram is everything? Like, are you here to sell to me? Are you here to like post about your kid? Are you here to like, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Truly.
So I
I
do
would love
appreciate
to
that.
know how you engage your intuitive wisdom or your delicious ease when you're opening platforms like that. I've just been curious in hearing different episodes that you have.
When you mean opening, you mean starting to use them or?
Yeah, like when you like before you're going in or while you're on them. I just think it's a really neat way to use different social media platforms when you can go about them with some type of connection that you often talk about.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think LinkedIn, I really post mostly, and then I look. I don't go in to explore at this point. So like it does send me those emails, and then I'll go in to see
Yeah.
if I can make a connection or
Like, or
some.
just your inner, like, how are you connecting to your intuitive wisdom to kind of even know where might feel like a good place to explore or another person to connect to? Do you do some energy work? I guess is the question before you
Oh,
use any of the platforms.
I think I just try to find that calm space.
Mm.
I haven't thought about actively doing energy work with social media, so I'm going to have to mull on that this week. That's exciting. I more kind of come to
Highly
the,
recommend. Otherwise, I'd go bananas.
yeah,
Because
that's
I
a really
wasn't. When I
good
first started working for
idea.
myself, I was doing the grind. They say post this much. They say do this. They say do that. They
Right.
say. But really trying to, and I don't do it all the time, and I wish I was more consistent. But when it's kind of like when you start your morning routine, right? And then you don't do it and you see the difference.
Yes.
I think with social media, whether it's for professional purposes or for entertainment purposes, or even for those little shots of dopamine that it's okay to need sometimes during the day, especially these days. When I take that step, even if it's just for 30 seconds and think about, okay, Margaret, you're so beautiful at setting intentions. I've seen you do it and heard you do it on your episodes several times. And, just do something like that or give myself a little self Reiki around the throat chakra and the solar plexus and freaking set a timer. That's my other tip.
Amen.
15 minutes or 30. I will not do more. And that took a while. Like it literally, it shows you how strong that kind of
Mm-hmm.
addictiveness can be. Because even when I try to tell my teenagers this and get them to do this habit, the really respecting and having integrity for myself to respect that timer and why I set it, no matter what comes up and what's trying to keep me there, I think also helps just my own energy leaks and downward spiraling that can happen when comparison. Oh, why are I doing more here? Oh, look at this person, blah, 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 which we're all vulnerable to, even when we do a little bit of prep work for ourselves before we go into them. That timer, I think for me, has really been something I should probably tell more people about. So there you go.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I use the timer too, but I absolutely love the idea of sending the messages out with intention because you're right. I've just been doing it as this is the appropriate way to get the message out. So do the creation and then plop it. I have a scheduler, so I put it in, schedule it in all the places. But I love that sending it out with intention. I think that would be so much more powerful and a
Appreciate
better use
that.
of my time.
Do you feel that you're comfortable with using the voice messages on LinkedIn versus some of the other platforms, or do you
I've
use those
never
ever?
done it, so now I'm going to go look for that.
And again, just fun things, right? Like if I can knock this out with my voice instead of having to type it, that's a win
It's
for me
so
as
much
well.
more. Yeah. I listened to a chat GPT session last week, one of the first ones I've listened to. And that was the number one tip. They said, if you don't learn anything else from this session, then please learn to talk instead of type because you're
And
so much
your
faster
voice is
at,
one of the most soothing on
oh,
the
goodness,
freaking
thank you.
planet. And so, if you're trying to create a warm connection or a new connection or follow up with an old connection and they hear your voice, Kate Margaret, or anyone else that's listening to this, it really does make a difference. It's almost like thank you cards after interviews. It's almost like
Oh,
oh, not enough people are doing this still. And it really does, really can make a difference in people getting back to you. But I think too, and as we talk about platforms and we talk about interviewing and we talk about, I like to call it opportunity attracting instead of job searching, those themes around rejection and quote unquote failure, that's again why I saw how I was teaching people how to get opportunities before were so backwards, because it wasn't ever visiting those most vulnerable parts of ourselves that we bravely and courageously have to try and muster up to share our value. So I do see that also with people that are coming to you for treatments. Is that an area, I hope, because I know for sure Reiki does an incredible job in helping to unblock some of those stuck energies that have created such fear and not normalized how much it takes in order to hear back from people sometimes, because it won't happen right away. There will be walls that we hit, and some of them will be brick, and some of them will be hurting us. And that is just something I won't ever let a client I work with not address, because I just think it's a huge reason why people keep staying in circumstances that they know the chaos, and so they stay stuck there because it feels better than making a change that is unknown. Just didn't know if you see that in your work as well in some way.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just still stuck on the voice comment. I think that's going to shape my entire July, and I'm super excited
I
to
love
think
that.
about using voice before I attempt to type or message, you know? It
If
is,
you could see me now, I'm like, oh, before you do that message, just a little swipe around your chakra with your hands.
yeah.
Tune in, and then share out. Tune
And
in,
share
share
that. And
out.
I love notes. I love mail. I love stationery. So I think you got me with the thank you notes because I love those and they aren't really a thing anymore. So if I can revive that in a new way, I'm just so excited.
Your
Thank you so
voice
much.
is your new energy stationary. There you go.
Yes. Oh, I don't think I'm going to get better than that. Is there anything else that you would like to add to this conversation?
No, just again, how much I value in you taking so much of your own time to talk with so many people throughout your episodes and your journey of your podcast, and giving them a safe, warm, welcoming, soothing space to share their work that they love about, or whatever their story is that needs to get heard. It's incredible.
Well, thank you. That is definitely one of my two favorite things about podcasting. One, leaving a positive legacy. I always think about my kids that wherever they are, they can tune in and hear something uplifting or kind. So I love hosting guests that bring that value to the world. But also creating that space to having that platform to be able to hold space for that. So thank you for seeing that. Please let us all know the best place to connect with you and your work.
I always like people to go connect with themselves first. I think I've said that a few times.
Yes.
Check in with yourself first before you come and check me out. I think that actually really helps with the alignment of those that work with me, when there's kind of, they understand, they don't need to be masters at it, but they understand to check in, and see what feels good and what their body's telling them about their next best step. And if checking me out feels like something that gives them a little goosebumps, or whatever the tingle is, or other kind of divine whisper or nudge, I can always find me at SheaKi.com. It's SheaKi.com. And my playgrounds right now are Instagram and LinkedIn. And that's the same thing, just at Shea.Ki on Instagram. And I think other than that, I just really get excited when I think about more people doing the inner work, not just for the outer upgrade that kind of naturally happens when we know more about ourselves and we feel more connected to a higher force than ourselves, however it means to them, a better, a bigger energy, inner guide. And where that leads people next always excites me. So I just love to hear people's updates.
Yay. Well, excuse me. Thank you again. I really appreciate this conversation and you sharing all your wisdom and your energy with us.
Back at you.
Thank you for joining me on Intuitive Wisdom. If this episode brought you clarity or inspiration, please take a moment to leave a 5-star review. It truly helps others find this space. If someone you love could use a shift in energy, share this episode with them. You never know what might resonate. For more, explore my frequency reset service, tune into more episodes, or begin the journey through my book, Make Ease Your Vibe. All this can be found at my website, deliciousease.com. Until next time, trust your energy, honor your space, and keep coming home to yourself. Cheers.